In an event that breeds champions, a special kind of competitor is required for a special kind of challenge. Performing time after time, keeping calm under pressure. Where split-second decisions can mean success or failure. Riding on a knife edge at 30 knots. This is the Extreme Sailing Series. The city-state of Singapore is the setting for the second act of the 2013 Extreme Sailing Series. The next 4 days will see 8 international teams vying for victory in what is one of the most spectacular settings for this urban global tour. With up to 30 races ahead of them on short stadium arena courses, the competition can be fast and intense. The sailors know they will have to fight for every position. Victory here comes easily to no one.
Hey, come on, Pinder! That's ridiculous! That's absolutely ridiculous! You've got to give us water!
Taking up the challenge, 8 teams comprising of some of the world's most talented sailors, with 28 World Championship titles, 20 Olympic and 25 America's Cup campaigns between them. After Act 1, last year's series champions, the Wave Muscat, are in top spot. But they left their move for the top until the last moment.
It all came good for us right on the last day. We were always thereabouts, but not quite performing as well as we had hoped. We had a few teething problems at the beginning of the season, the opener.
I think Macmillan's done it. The home team round ahead. The Red Bull Sailing, I can't believe it, 15 points the advantage going into today. Well, that says it all. Lee Macmillan really did have an uphill struggle. The Wave Muscat are champions here in Oman.
But for Macmillan, there's a new concern. Up against him, his old teammate, American Morgan Larson, now sailing for Switzerland's Alinghi.
Morgan, introduced the Extreme 14s last year. He's got a season under his belt. He knows what the boat's all about now. He won 2 of the events. He's going to be a huge threat, and I think particularly here, he's helming for the first time since Rio. He's going to really enjoy and relish that role, and he's going to want to really, show us what he's all about. And then obviously Red Bull are an extremely experienced team. They're going to be a real challenge for us this year.
Losing out to the Omanis in Muscat, Red Bull sailing team. They have been a feature of the tour since 2009. And despite being close many times, they are still searching for their first ever event win. Aboard a duo with the longest standing partnership on the series. Tactician Hans-Peter Steinacker and skipper Roman Hagara.
It was in the late 80s. We met each other when we were racing in the Tornado. He was helming, I was on the trapeze, I was crew with my brother.
10 years after meeting, they partnered up. But this time it was Hagara who took over helming duties. Together they aim for success in the 2000 Sydney Olympic Games.
So we swapped positions, and that was, I think, the good thing about the partnership also. We knew every position, we knew what's going on in the front, and he knew what's going on in the back.
Together they have become Austria's most decorated summer Olympians, with 2 gold medals at consecutive games. That success has led them to look for other outlets for their talent.
We had the plan to go to bigger boats, and we had a lot of experience in multi-hulls. So then it starts with the Extreme Sailing Series. Then we ordered the boat and we did our first race in Hong Kong in 2009.
But larger boats mean a larger crew, and this brought its own problems.
It was a really hard thing for us because we were Normally it used to be 2 on the boat, and then we were 4 on the boat, so we didn't talk anything, so the other 2 didn't know what's going on.
Well, we tried to talk, but if you're under pressure, it was a lot to learn, and we said, yeah, that was a learning year for the whole team.
Now there is a real sense that this team are on the verge of delivering an event win.
It worked out quite well in Oman. Just missed first place by very little points.
This series, everything comes down to the last race, with the double points, and you can win and lose everything.
Their challenge to beat the defending champions.
The only advantage the Wave has compared to us, so they were so many times in this situation, and they are really relaxed to go to the last race, and we feel still a bit more pressure.
We're always there, but never on the top.
But they are under no illusions. The competition and the conditions they will come up against here will be some of the toughest they've ever faced.
In Singapore, the only thing is that it's little breeze here, and it will be really hard to win it here, but there's always a chance. We are up there and fighting with all the others, and it's mixing, I think, until the last day. Everybody can beat everyone here, and I mean, other boats have proved it that they can beat the Wave. I think Alinghi will be quite strong. They are the ones to watch here.
The invitational team for this event is Team Aberdeen Singapore. Their skipper, local sailor Scott Glenn Sydney, leads an international crew. But on this tour, no team can be seen as a sure bet. With boats and crews fighting for every inch of water, there are mishaps and collisions. With racing about to begin here in Marina Bay, crowds are arriving at one of the most extraordinary settings for stadium racing in the world.
Well, inside the final 10 seconds, definitely more breeze in the middle of the far side of the line. Oh, is anyone going to be over? That's the gun. Well, good start, Team Korea. Wave Muscat over the line, have to go back. Red Bull Sailing 2, but it's Alinghi who've had the best start.
Absolutely super start for Alinghi, and Aberdeen as well, away and strong, and those 2 guys have got a huge leap on the fleet. Catch up is very hard, but one of the beauties of this particular course is there is a lot of concertinaing around the track. It looks like Alinghi will squeeze around the mark and survive any attack from the wider boats in stronger breeze.
Will they? Alinghi heading up towards the top mark for the first time. It's very tight. They're going to have to squeeze around there. They'll slow down. Aberdeen are on their tail, and Red Bull are coming in with the comfort that they can lay that mark easily. Here we go. Alinghi are squeezing round. Yep, you're absolutely right. They did do it. They did slow down. So Alinghi around.
So Alinghi lead, but downwind the Austrians slide by.
Well, they've been really quick on this leg, and it's advantage to Red Bull Sailing. I think there could be a little more breeze coming down the track, but really gentle rounding. No aggressive movements on the rudder to slow the boat down, but it's very close. Alinghi just behind. The whole pack are coming down. It's getting much, much tighter this race.
Yeah, these guys are just locked together, and they're going to battle all the way. They're fighting for each other's breeze right now. Red Bull is just trying to advance far enough that they can steal some of Alinghi's breeze and spit them out the back, which it looks like they're getting the option to do right now.
Yeah, Red Bull have got the advantage. They'll be trying to squeeze up, and if they can get closer to Alinghi, to slow the Swiss team down. So we've got a battle between Switzerland and Austria.
Just one leg later, it's the Swiss who turn the tables back on the Austrians.
Well, Red Bull Sailing wanted to attack earlier for the mark, but Alinghi was blocking them. They were blocking them for a reason. Morgan Larsen has now overtaken Red Bull Sailing, prepares the Jenica before the last downwind leg. Can Alinghi hold it to the finish? So in the Battle of Central Europe, it is Switzerland that take the advantage. Morgan Larsen is steering Alinghi. Ernesto Bertarelli was in charge in Oman in round 1, podium position for the team. But Larsen was in the press conference yesterday, always understated, but he had a sort of twinkle in his eye yesterday. There was something about him. He was looking forward to steering Alinghi here, and there was some talk after that this could be the boat to beat. And I got a feeling that is what's going to happen here. Alinghi are looking very, very comfortable in these conditions.
Red Bull are looking strong. Alinghi's picked up some wind now here closest to the screen. and it's going to be all on, but I think Alinghi are going to do it just purely out of momentum. I think Aberdeen are going to take GAC Pindar, and this is going to be a real exciting finish here. But it looks like Alinghi are going to take this one.
This is the second win of the day. Win race 5, and Alinghi Morgan Larsen had a wobbly moment, but that is the signal of the second victory of the day. Red Bull, who were over the line when the gun went and were 200 metres behind the leaders, pulled back quickly, and it's a second place for Austria and Roman Hagara, and there's a real fight for third between GAC Pindar. Team Korea coming in at the last minute, and Aberdeen Asset, and a Korea going to get it. I think Korea have got that just ahead of GAC. We'll confirm that. Aberdeen just behind.
With little wind for racing, it's difficult for anyone to stay consistent. But Alinghi's Morgan Larsen is one man who's not struggling here at all.
Really enjoying this sort of amphitheater, nice little harbor, and I think, obviously it's tricky. We've had some luck, and we can hopefully hold on to that a little bit longer, but it's going to come and go, and it's really just a matter of not tripping over ourselves too soon here. Anything can happen.
It's round 2 of the Extreme Sailing Series, a tour that's renowned for high-speed stadium sailing right on the edge of control. Here in Singapore, it's a slightly different story. Lighter breeze is providing a different challenge for the crews. Defending champions, the Wave Muscat, are struggling.
I feel like we're getting dead wind here.
But one team's loving every minute. Switzerland's Alinghi lead the fleet. Their helmsman, Morgan Larsen.
We've been sailing pretty loose, enjoying ourselves, trying to keep it smooth, having the jokes rolling along, and the guys are having fun. We're having a good time. For us, I think looking back and focusing on the guys behind us would be a big mistake. We just got to go out and try to do what we did yesterday, do what we did the day before, and that was just have a good time sailing and try to get up the course as best we can. Things can happen, it's sailboat racing. But I'm hoping we can just move forward and extend our lead from here. We expect to be in the top 3 in every race, and that's how we're sailing the boat right now.
In contrast, it's been a difficult event for defending champions, the Wave Muscat. Although sitting in second place, they have no margin for error, with Red Bull and SAP Extreme Sailing snapping at their heels. Skipper Lee McMillan.
We felt the frustrations of the tricky conditions here at times. It's no surprise that Alinghi are at the top of the leaderboard right now. In all honesty, obviously we'd love to win here in Singapore and keep on the roll that we started in Oman. If we can actually maintain a second place through the rest of this weekend and finish there, or even finish on the podium, we'll still be happy. And we're very much focused on the overall series and not each individual event.
But the Wave Muscat continue to struggle. As the windsurfers of the Neil Pride Racing Series, the official warm-up act of the tour, battle the light breeze to put on a show for the crowds. It's time for McMillan and crew to make their move.
That's the start, and the two-tone blue sails of the Wave Muscat. The boat stalled and pointing in the wrong direction. GAC Pindar, great start. The light green hull, they're off. On the far side, Alinghi. I'm not sure if they started well either. Some of the new teams really doing well so far here in Singapore, but some of the more established struggling. Red Bull Sailing over the line, having to recross it, and still the Wave Muscat have not started the race. And now they're blocked by Red Bull Sailing, and finally they're off.
Despite a bad start, the Omanis are making good ground. But ahead, once again, it's the Swiss who are making all the right calls.
Well, Morgan Larsen was not fighting with the leaders, has decided to go up this leg on the other side of the course to the majority of the fleet. Can he make it pay? The red sail left of screen, that's Larsen. Behind him, Lee McMillan on the Wave Muscat's made the same choice. And look at that, 32 metre, the advantage for Alinghi. They are now leading the race. And things are looking much better for Lee McMillan on the Wave Muscat behind him. Well, looks like there's been a big wind shift. The boats in the middle of the racing area have got more breeze and are going quicker. These are tense moments for Larsen. When he turns the boat and tacks across, will he still be in the lead? Larsen tacks around 200 metres to the next mark. crew with the weight as far forward on the boat. Keep the back of the boat out in the water, reduce friction, but look at that. Larsen has lost ground to the Wave Muscat, but more significantly ahead of him, it's definitely SAP, possibly 3 boats. We're about to find out. Here comes Larsen, red sails, right of way. The yellow sail SAP, they are clear ahead, but he's going to force GAC and Real Team to tack. So SAP have got the advantage. They will have to tack for the mark. And Alinghi looks secure in second. SAP are now tacking. And when they do, they will have right of way over Alinghi, who are coming in to the mark. Bottom left, the Wave Muscat getting themselves in the mix as well. Here comes SAP. They've got the right of way. They can't just tack and stop in front of Alinghi. They're not allowed to do that. And Alinghi have seen a gap. Oh, that's brave from Larsen. Is that gap there? Is he going to squeeze through? He does. Oh, that was brilliant sailing from Larsen. The gap emerged as he entered into it. And now as he heads down to the finish, Alinghi, who lost their lead, have got it back and are coming down to the finish, having squeezed past SAP. Morgan Larsen, brilliant race. Poor start. He went his own way up the next leg. And it's Alinghi that again heads down towards the Singapore finish line at the front of this fleet. Win for Alinghi. Well, that's the mark of the victory, but behind, let's just see, because SAP Sailing, yeah, they have defended second, because the Wave Muscat were right in the mix. They're coming down now with more speed and pressure. This race isn't over. SAP are going slower. The Wave Muscat are trying to get second, but they're not going to do it. The Danish team secures second, and the Wave Muscat, Lee McMillan, great recovery, third.
With 1 day left, Alinghi have a comfortable lead. Red Bull are defending second place, the Wave Muscat are in third, but the defending champions are on equal points with SAP Extreme Sailing, new to the tour last year. SAP have invested in data analysis of their performances and have been on an upward curve since they entered the circuit. Can they deliver their first ever podium position on the tour here in Singapore? The pressure is on. The man making the call, tactician Rasmus Kostner.
It was great to get an insight of the performance from yesterday with the SAP Sailing Analytics. Sometimes we're missing points in what we're doing and try and understand a little bit better what's going on and how we can improve. The averages here, that's very interesting when you compare that to one single race. And obviously a professional sailing series like the Extreme Sailing Series is something you can compare to Formula 1, where you're looking at performance, you're looking at all the numbers you can get and get an insight into your own performance. As a tactician, it's very important to understand the performance of the boat and the history of our performance, to see if there's any things we can do to change. And I think just this morning, viewing our performance from yesterday, and we can still find some things we can improve.
The last act in Oman was one to forget. The team recorded their worst result ever.
We had a tough regatta in Oman, and then we really had to come together when everybody on the boat stepped up on their position and everybody tried to do it a little bit better.
Quietly hoping for a good result, the team have set their sight on beating the defending champions.
We're level points with the Wave. We're really happy with our position. It's the best performance we've ever had on a day, and that really gives you a lot of confidence. We've always looked at the performance of the Wave as one of the top teams and one of the favorites, but we learned a lot from them. But maybe it's time today for us to step up and teach them a couple of lessons.
It is confirmed by race control. It's a clear start. And off to the yellow mark now. It's a very short opening leg, and Red Bull have got a superstar.
Launched, absolutely launched. They've actually been the guys that have nailed it more consistently than everybody else here, but that's what you need to do in this race. You need to get clear air, you need to punch it out in front of the rest of the fleet.
So Red Bull, they're finding breeze. The Marina Bay, that huge complex, you'd think maybe taking the breeze, but actually they've got a little whisper of breeze, a little river of breeze down the inside there.
After their great start, the Austrians lead, chased by SAP. The Wave Muscat and leaders Alinghi are stuck right at the back of the fleet.
Well, heading upwind, and Red Bull Sailing on the left of the animation have gone much closer to the shore. SAP decided to tack. They're in the middle of the racecourse where there's been more wind all day, but it's getting much, much closer, Nick.
Absolutely, and just even with the naked eye here looking across the water, it looks like Team SAP do have a little bit more boat speed than this second upwind mark here, the yellow mark at the top of the screen. It will be very, very close, but I do agree. I do think Red Bull is controlling this race from this point. Team SAP have just dropped out of the breeze line. They're getting too close to that building mass on that far shore now and are slowing up considerably.
In the second half of the race, SAP are still leading, but the Danes are under pressure.
Well, the match race at the front is no longer there. Red Bull Sailing look good, and SAP Extreme are looking anxiously over their shoulder. Alinghi just behind, and Aberdeen just behind Alinghi. Red Bull have tacked to the final mark. Surely this victory is safe for them. On board SAP, Alinghi behind them are just about to go into attack, spinning the bows round. And the yellow sails of SAP going very close to the shore, and there is much less wind there. It could have been a good move for Alinghi. Next mark is the green mark, bottom right of picture. Alinghi, the red sails pointing towards us, middle of screen. I think they may have crept through there on the inside. SAP and Aberdeen now close to shore, hardly moving. As the Jenica comes out on Red Bull Sailing, and the Austrians, who won the dogfight with SAP, sailed away and made this their own race. Well, they're really mastering the conditions out here in Singapore. Not quite as well as Alinghi, but they're looking solid in second. It is victory for Red Bull Sailing. And look behind, Alinghi are squeezing around the mark ahead of SAP. Alinghi will finish second, which will put further angst on the Wave Muscat.
Yeah, that was
at the top of the table.
That was an interesting one because they were fifth at one point in this race and they battled back.
He's too hot to be happy, but there's almost a smile there on Morgan Larsson's face. And SAP may be a little disappointed to lose that place, but yeah, that's a third place in these conditions.
With just the double points decider left, Alinghi have an unassailable lead. Red Bull are second now, but no guarantee of a podium place. Whilst there is a real battle on between SAP and defending champions Wave Muscat, who face the prospect of finishing off the podium for the first time in over a year.
We are now just moments away from a win that will live long in the memory of Morgan Larsson as he bears Alinghi away, and he secures victory in the double points finale. Handshake from Larsson on board, pats on the back. Well, Larsson looks, as always, relaxed, comfortable. Congratulations to Alinghi.
And SAP, well, they didn't just hold position, they leapfrogged the Wave Muscat for their first ever podium on the tour.
Third place for a really popular team. Yeah, that's what it means to them.
Came from a very tough regatta in Oman and had to really find the best performance, and we did.
2 second places in 2 events, the best ever start to the season for Red Bull.
At least we didn't lose at the last race today because Alinghi was gone. They're too far ahead. We couldn't lose, so the only thing that we can do is losing.
And Alinghi, the win, a perfect end to a perfect event.
It's been a great week. We're just so happy to be here, Singapore, and come out with a win and beat Dowson Champagne. It's awesome. Off to Qingdao in 2 weeks, and looking forward to the third event of the Extreme Sailing Series.
So a great win for Alinghi, and that knocks the Wave Muscat off the top of the leaderboard and setting us up for a showdown at the next event. Next stop, the former Olympic sailing city of Qingdao, China, a venue made famous on this tour for delivering some of the wildest racing ever seen.
The crews are clinging on. Oh, crash! The master's gone! Oh!
See you there.